Hi, everybody that's joining us on YouTube. This is a Wednesday afternoon Zoom class. My name is Mary Kay Jolly, and I am painting Surfers Beach in the fog today. So this painting that you see here is an oil painting. I went down on Monday with my plein air oil painting. I have a huge old wooden easel that I dragged down there, and I got there and I'm like, it's just foggy. It's so foggy. Where's the painting here? But then as I looked and looked, I started to really start to see things. Like the shoreline I thought was beautiful, and then the rocks sticking out. It's just sort of a, you know, it's a simple painting, but it does have a focal point. So this is an oil painting, and they're messy. That's the thing about oil paintings. Very messy. And now, this morning, I did it in watercolor. It's a very simple painting. It uses only 3 colors: French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and Antwerp blue. And it's just a wet into wet painting, which we don't do that often. Hi, Nina. Good to see you.
Hi. Good to be here.
So it's just going to be wet into wet and no PBO. It's just a very kind of quick painting. Not many people paint wet into wet anymore. So I think it's a nice process. Here is my piece of 140 cold press. There's my palette. Make sure you can see all that. I'm going to move it over a little bit. I don't have a very stable setup there. Okay, so the first step is just to wet it all. I'm just going to use a 3/4 inch flat 995. That's the name of the brush. It's a Winsor Newton brush. It has a beveled handle, which I'm going to use to scrape the top of the rocks later. This is just pure water. So when you're out there in the fog is really white. When I painted it with the oil painting, I just started with white paint, put a tiny bit of French Ultra into it, and just started going down the canvas. I like to wipe off my edges. Okay, so the top of it's just light gray, almost all paper showing. And it is French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, just to make gray. I'm just going to start at the top and brush this just back and forth. I don't want it to be, I just added a little bit of French into my petal. I don't want it to be solid. I want there to be some sort of change in color a little bit. When I get down about 3/4 of the way like that, I'm gonna stop covering the paper. I can see right now that the top of this has got kind of a light area in it. That's generally like a rule that I always say, oh, cover in the corners. But with the fog, I'm going to see how it does having the corners a little lighter. Right now, this is all wet and white. So what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. I know, the same colors. They're the same colors. But I'm going to put a little bit more brown into it rather than blue. And I'm going to paint in the bottom here, this corner. And And I want to make a elongated C, meaning that it's the shape of a C, but the top of it is going to be very sharpened. And that's the shoreline. And we've talked about that a lot of times. That shape. Okay, so two things. One, I'm going to sign my name. And one, I'm going to blend that up. I think I'm going to do the blending right now. So what I just did was I dipped my brush into the water. Do you hear my husband? He's home. And I'm blending the top so it looks like it's going into the fog.
Frick, another one?
I didn't see.
There's a head in the hallway by the bathroom. That's the third one this today.
Bird or
Bird.
critter?
Bird.
Oh, so my husband has a new cat.
Oh, my husband has a new cat.
It's brought in 3 birds today.
Oh, dear.
So I just blended that up so you're feeling like you've got that foreground that just is disappearing. That's the goal, to make it look like it's just going up into the fog and you can't see it all at all. And now I'm going to take my bamboo signer and sign my name into this part down here to the sand. Hello, Claire. Oh, morning. It is afternoon.
I think it's the most pleasant greeting, so I always use it.
Buongiorno. So I sign my name in cursive. And now what I'm going to do is take my museum brush and I'm going to add more French into it, into my same petal. And I want to just put some streaks of French into the sand because it was, what it did was, it was wet and the fog, I think the fog or something was sort of making that beautiful color in the sand. And then the part around it is dark, very dark black sand, which is magnetite and magnetic. So I'm just going to put some, oh, look at my name went white. It went over the top of it or something. That's fun. That's different. So I just, so that's not solid anymore. It's got some shape to it. Then the next step is to make some green, which is burnt sienna and the other blue. So I've been painting with burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue the whole time. Now I'm painting with, I just put in French, Antwerp. Burnt sienna and Antwerp makes green. And I kind of felt like the ocean had that green color. So what I'm going to do now, this is drying out because it's a much warmer day now. I can put a little bit more French in there too. Yeah, that's better. And I want to leave white, like I'm trying to paint around the areas that I saw out there in the ocean that were white that day. So the waves were coming in, so I'm painting around here near the shore. And now I'm going to add water. So what I did was I rinsed my brush I have a little bit of paint in it still, and I'm drying it in my paper towel. And then up here, I start blending that up into the fog. So we feel like it's just going from our darkest colors down here and then blurry, blurry, blurry up into the fog. I can put a little more French into this bottom green if I want to. The trick is to leave some white. And I'm gonna soften my shoreline just with this. This is what I call a thirsty brush. So I got it wet, then I dry it, and now I can just sort of smudge a little bit. Or if you're D, you can just paint with a little bit of water. So it's a much wetter brush. And I just put a little water in there and see what happens. And I kind of purposely left a little white area where I'm going to put this focal point, these dark rocks in there. So I'm going to make really dark brown now, a lot more paint than I've been using. So same two colors though, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue.
Your feet there? Ah,
It's almost black.
feet, little feet in the hallway.
And I just have to decide where I'm going to put these rocks. So this is a little bit damp. If I put my first stroke up there, it will blur. So I'm going to put my big darkest rock up here into the white area so it doesn't blur. It was kind of like a triangle there. And then there's some kind of low, I say don't paint loaves of bread, but these were kind of loaves of bread, those rocks out there. These are the original breakwater from 75 years ago. These little rocks that show up right there at Surfers Beach. So I'm just putting some brown rocks. I right now I can see that it's kind of a flat line. They're all lined up, so I think I'll just make this one bigger. Big shark's tooth bigger. And then maybe down here I'll put one so it's not all in a line. Back here, this one's softer, not as much pigment because it's farther away. I can even just splash some. And I want to show you how to scrape with the beveled edge of this brush. So you can see it's a beveled edge. And if I take the side of that and I just scrape my rock a little bit, it lifts up on one side and it makes it look like it's got some either highlights or, I don't want to overdo it because then it sort of
Going that way.
looks like it's all. That was the scraping, that's all I want to do. And now I'm going to take I'm going to paint with a little bit of water at the bottom of these, just to kind of soften some of them. Because I feel like those kind of look like actually, looking at it on the computer screen, I can see it kind of looks like it's a little bit rough water right there. I don't mind that. Maybe I like it. Maybe I'll just soften up here a little bit, that one. And you know what? If you want to try a little salt, I think mine's a little bit too dry. I could put a little salt right here to make it kind of look like it's a little bit splashing. I don't think it's going to work. It's a little dry. You guys have all heard my story about Helen Lukitas. who at 93 would, I give her a salt, she would pour all the salt on. So this painting is just about done. When I'm looking at it in the computer screen, I think the part that's sort of showing up for me is this area right here above the rocks. It looks just like a square. So I think what I'm going to do is just muff it up a little bit and see what happens. So that was a little bit of paint, but now I just have a thirsty brush. That's a better shape. There's kind of a white spot out here. I could add a little color to that. I think I should just stop. Unless any part of that's bugging you, I can go try to fix it. But it's that simple of a painting. Laura, I can tell that you didn't paint and that you're going to paint later.
Right.
Yeah. But you have my favorite color on.
Oh, thank you.
Me too.
There you go. Just like that. The waves are coming in. Your rocks are very dark, and so they're a great focal point. Oh, you put the mountain in.
Yeah,
It's
just
back
a
there
little
in the
bit.
fog, just barely peeking. And that black sand with the blue, that looks really good. Yeah, that's a beautiful little painting. Just beautiful.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Penny. Oh, look at you. You have bigger rocks out in the ocean. Yes, I feel like it's, you wouldn't want to try to bring a ship through there. We'd need a lighthouse for sure. The colors are gorgeous.
Nice.
I love your French there next to the shoreline. Beautiful shape, that elongated sea, you've got that. It really does feel like the fog is just coming down. You can't see the horizon line because it just gets foggy right there.
Are the
Yep.
rocks far out in the ocean?
The rocks, well, I mean, where they are on Surfers Beach is next to the RV park. They're just this little clump there, really close to the shore.
Right.
So,
I was
and
just looking at your watercolor one and it looked farther out, but
yeah, so that's what's hard, is to paint a painting from a painting. It's much easier to paint a painting from a photograph. But I mean, we don't know that that doesn't have big far rocks out there.
Yeah.
So it's your interpretation. It's beautiful. Okay, let's look at Vicky's. Oh, look at that. You painted with water. So good. In your little rocks. Beautiful. I feel like you know the ocean with that painting, and fog. Ocean and fog. Beautiful colors. I think if there was one thing that you could do, would be right where the blue in the shoreline, where the blue turns into the brown.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shape could be slightly different. So I'm going to find a piece of paper and show you the shape that I see, and then show you how I would change it. Okay, so this is just a piece of, oh, I've got this border there. So Vicky, hold yours up so I can see. I think it's just it's a round shape here. Yeah, it's kind of almost has a little point and comes down like that. Your shape. And this part's French ultramarine blue. Oh, can you see mine at all? Not really, huh? Okay, I'm gonna pin mine and you don't need to hold yours up anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so Vicky's painting has this shape here. She has a lot of French down here, and then it changes to her brown here. But the shape right through here could be more elongated and then blurred. And then this would come out down here just a little bit more. So the shape ends up being more of that shape of a C that's flat at the top and then comes down like that. So if you just change the brown, Vicky, at the top of your painting, you just bring it out a little more so that you just sort of flatten. So instead of it being here, you bring it this way a little more and just change the shape of the top of the C and then paint with a little water. I think that'll make a difference in your painting. But I just love the feel of it. I love the loose, the wet and the wet. Anybody else?
I'll show mine.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Ah, I love the shape of your rock. Beautiful. Yep. So what's nice about your painting is that I love the color of the fog up in the sky. It's it looks like it's shining, like the sun is shining in there. And then you have, your rocks are very much a great focal point. Just your eye goes right there. Actually like how you did your name. So you sort of have a yin and a yang, a yin and a yang, back and forth bouncing between those. And then your colors are just beautiful. I love your soft wet into wet.
Thank you.
Yeah, really nice.
I did a card, a quick card, but
Oh, it's beautiful.
oh, thanks.
Just gorgeous. That's a beautiful card. I think maybe you need to start making copies and, I don't know, selling little packages of them.
You're so cute. It's fun just to send somebody a nice hand-painted card, though, you know.
Do you ever send a little mat with them? Do they end up matting and framing them?
No, I don't. I'd probably not. I haven't heard that they have.
You'll start to hear that. That's what's
Yeah.
going to start happening. If you need any mats, if you want to send
No,
one.
Dan, I missed it. Dee, can you
What's
show
that?
it? Can you show it again? Oh, nice. That's got nice green ocean.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, the splash around your rocks. So Dee's greatest strength as a painter is painting with water. You do that so well.
Well, thanks. If I could just paint with paint, that'd be better.
Penny, who'd I miss? Nina, Rosalind.
Did Chris paint?
Chris is painting. She might be on her third one.
I'm gonna try it again too.
Are you going to show us what you did?
No,
No? Okay.
but I'm gonna do it again.
Oh, here's Nina's. Ah, beautiful.
Came out very pale.
Yes,
Guess that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Except the rocks are not. And so it's a focal point. Yeah, it's not, it's not like it's a very simple painting. It's just with simple rocks, but there's a focal point. And yeah, no, it's a lovely little painting. Just lovely.
Will you show us yours, Chris?
I just started it, so.
All right. What I'm going to do now is pause this, but I want to keep talking to you guys.